cars by fans, for fans. We're here with another episode because we've finally got all the liveries out. I am joined by Tristan in the studio.
Hello, mate.
And guess what? We've got Watsy back on the
back.
line.
He's back.
Popular demand.
There will be
Watsy
people
from
losing it.
5 Acre Farm. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm going great. It's good to be back, boys.
Oh, it's so good.
You guys love listening to the episodes when I'm not on it. It was a great year last year. I wasn't on too many, so...
It's when you said, "Oh, I might be in this one," I was automatically excited about it because if there's one thing that you know too, it's all about deliveries. So we've got the expert on for deliveries,
Absolutely,
and the expert he's coming in on all sorts of different facets of this episode. So yeah, lots of exciting things to get into, but we are talking all things livery, and we won't get too bogged down in what we're seeing from the cars, and we'll talk about that in a mini. But it's more about how do they look. Do we think they've improved? Do we like where the direction they're going? All those sorts of bits and pieces. So it might be a slightly shorter episode, but who knows? Sometimes these things take a bit longer than we ever think.
It's early days.
It is. We need to start with an opening question, and I think we can just direct it straight to Watsy. As we talked about in an earlier episode, Watsy and his wonderful partner, Kat, are on a wonderful YouTube channel, 5 Acre Farm, and we need an update from the farm. What's going on? I joined a live session, well, it would have been a couple of weeks ago now, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I was in and out, I had to do a couple of things, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. But when I left, I was a bit lost. I was like, oh, I wonder if they've talked about this yet. I wonder if they've talked about this yet. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably what my students in class wondering if I'd actually mentioned something and they've clocked off. How's things at the farm, Watsy?
Yeah, it's all going great, actually. You know, the gardens are looking really good. We're in the middle of growing season, I suppose.
Yep.
The gardens are looking good. We haven't had much rain lately, so everywhere else on the property is pretty dry.
Yep.
But, we're pumping the water into the gardens.
Good growing temperatures, though. At least you're getting some decent warm weather now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, a couple of weeks ago now, I suppose, it was cold.
Yep.
We had some unseasonably cold weather, and it stunted everything out there. So there's a few things that are a little bit behind. The tomatoes are a bit behind. But they're coming good now. There's so many different varieties coming. We've got about 50 chili plants that are flowering and fruiting.
What's the plan for 50 chili plants, Jay? That is a lot of chili.
It is. So it's just bird's eye chilies, habanero chilies, and cayenne peppers. Cayenne peppers will be used in meals daily, like whatever we're cooking that requires it. And the others will all be made into chili ferment sauces and mixed with other bits and pieces from the farm. I've done a really cool habanero feijoa sauce last year, which is
that does
nice.
Sound good. So you actually get fruit off your feijoa tree?
Not yet. We've got 5 feijoa trees. They're still quite young, but one of my work colleagues, he's got a massive tree, and he just brings us in bags full, and we just have them in the freezer till we're ready to make the sauce.
Yep. And what's harvesting at the moment?
Harvesting cucumbers, raspberries. Oh, we've got some awesome raspberries. I don't know. Oh, shallots. Just trying to think what I have for brekkie.
I was going to say that was where it was
parsley.
going. What are you cooking? What are you cooking it into? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because last time, might have been one of the last times we did an episode with Watsy. We're at his house, Tristan, remember, and he made us that beautiful breakfast.
I did actually. Yeah, that was
I think
post season. Can't remember which one.
No, I reckon it was a preview.
It might have been a preview. It was before the season, like maybe started or ended. Can't remember which one. But yeah, no, you're right.
And every time I make a breakfast now, I think about that little condiment that went with it all. I was like, my breakfast doesn't have that condiment at the moment.
Yeah, so that condiment that you're talking about is chopped up spring onion, chopped up parsley, or coriander. Depends on if the coriander's going.
Yep.
Basil was another one with a bit of fresh lime juice and salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil. It just goes over breakfast so well.
It is beautiful. Yeah, it was something I didn't know I needed in my life.
There'll be people out there listening that are going to go and make that, like today, tomorrow, and next week.
There'll also be people listening that are going, I thought it was a Formula 1 show. And the boys have gone full rural talking about farms
Full
and
country.
cooking and all sorts of things.
Full
but
country.
No, we got lots of great feedback last time. So, check it out. 5 Acre Farm.
Tube.
On the YouTube. Yep. We're on the YouTube now, Tristan.
Yes.
No videos
No,
yet.
not yet.
Once he tried to talk us into videoing this one, but it's a work in progress.
We're very much not production ready for videos, I don't feel.
No. I think there's a little bit to do, but we might get there. Imagine that. Imagine thinking about how we're looking on those Tuesday nights after a late night race or whatever it is. It'll be Anyway, there's work to be done, but we're talking all things liveries, boys, and thank God Formula One started. I hate this time. Well, I love this time of year. I hated 3 weeks ago, where you haven't got I love my AFL football.
Yep.
I didn't have that, and I didn't have Formula One.
We're just waiting,
and the cricket had finished, and so it was a bit of a lull. But once Formula One kicks back in, and they've nearly got the timing right this year, I feel there's one thing that needs to change, and that's bring Drive to Survive forward. I've always said that. It needs to be in the block between Christmas and livery launches. But now they've got livery launches. We go into testing next Thursday, and then we go into racing the week after, and that is exciting.
Outstanding.
It excites me a great deal. I think it's only got 4 days between the Saturday testing and Thursday of the.
I hope we get to see a bit more testing than what we usually do. Like here in Australia, we don't see a lot.
I've got updates on that for you.
Good.
Do you want it now?
Yes, I do actually, because I've been racking my brain how I'm going to watch this.
It's a little bit like a community service, I guess. So, Foxtel, KO aren't showing testing. Not great news for Australians.
No.
However, it's not through lack of want. So they've actually requested to do it.
Yep.
They're not getting it this year because it's not part of their license, but they are actually looking at how they might pick it up. But F1 TV, if you get a subscription with F1 TV this year, you can watch the entire test through F1 TV. Now, that does require a subscription. It's only $4.49, and this is not a paid presentation, $4.49 a month in Australia.
Is there a free trial?
You have to check. Don't think so. You have to check in your local area what yours is, but this is strictly for Australians.
Yep.
And so you get to pick it up on F1 TV. You can either pay the full $35 a year, and you get the live telemetry with the races, and it's a bit more than what KO give you.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just you pay your $4.49 for the month, and then unsubscribe once the testing's over.
I could absolutely see myself doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's a 6 p.m. start for us.
Okay, that's all right. I'm happy with that. Do you get replays?
Of testing?
Yep.
Couldn't answer that one.
Okay, we'll find out.
So you're going to bed at 11:30, and you're going to watch the last 3 hours on replay?
No, just if it's like at 6, and then if I want to start watching it at 9 or...
There you go.
Yeah,
that is impressive. So that's how we're going to watch it this year. If you're keen, I did try and sign up to F1 TV a couple of years ago when we didn't get testing to see if it was going to be on there, and it was a horrible experience.
It was. It certainly was.
A little bit like the fantasy app. So
that's a good way to finish.
Hopefully they've turned around. Well, it's not a paid promotion, but it could be, couldn't it?
Well, not with that ending, it won't be.
Wink, wink. So that's where testing's at, but it's on the Thursday. But we're not talking about testing. We'll have an episode for that.
We'll have testing up. Yep.
We might even have a live episode because we'll see how we go. But what we do have is liveries, and we got through. Eventually, we got there. It was spread over a couple of weeks. We got from Haas all the way through to Alpine the other night, and we're going to discuss all of them in the right amount of detail. Well, the required amount of detail, I guess. There were some changes, but the overall theme was very same. Would you agree?
I think theme was same, but with less paint.
That's true. Black is the new black.
Black is back, yep.
Yep, black is the new black, and black is black. And generally the theme, and the reason behind that is because of the weight saving, isn't it?
Yes, very heavy weight saving for all teams.
Yep.
Especially if you're Mercedes.
And the ability to have black just means you can run carbon if you need to.
Yes, yep.
Haas, start us off. Thoughts? Let's go Tristan first.
I thought the Haas looked really nice. Really, really nice.
Tell me more.
I like the overall black theme for this one with the white. I think it works really, really well. And I like the red that mixes. It's just the right amount of red. So from the wheel covers to the front wing, it keeps its traditional theme, traditional Haas colours, but without going too over the top. So I like it.
What's he?
Yeah, initially it was the same. Me and Tristan agreed.
Mm.
I was very happy with the black. They've obviously had a lot of black in their liveries in the past anyway.
Yep.
So I thought it was a nice update for them. Yeah, unbeknownst to what was coming with the rest of them. So, yeah, I was happy with it. Like it.
That's one of the beauties of being first, I reckon. First cab off the rank, everyone's just keen to see a car, so you get generally positive.
Yep.
I mean, is it my favourite looking Formula 1 car? Not even close. Is it an improvement on Haas in the past? Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
I think it looks quite good. I like the Haas on the side. Looks really nice. I think the new sponsor, MoneyGram, I think that actually looks really nice and ties in nicely with the car.
Yep, definitely.
And if you're running black, I think they've done it the right way.
Yeah, I think so too. They've used the air vents on the side pod really, really well to sort of works in with the white and the black contrast there.
Yeah, I think they've broken it up.
Yep.
I don't miss the blue. I mean, we did have the blue on there a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, I think that was through mix sponsorship, 1 and 1.
Well, it was mixed, but then there was the question mark about was it because of the Mazepin sponsorship as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
but I'm not missing that. It's not something that I'm feeling needs something like that. I think that sort of looked a bit out of place.
Yep.
I think they've got their look now. I mean, they've come a long way from that army sort of grey that they came out with all those years ago when they first came in.
Yep.
So overall, I think it's a pass. I think they're one of the few teams that's made the improvements required.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, improvements?
Yeah, improvements. What on the
Haas? Like in terms of in past years, is it the best one yet?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was a big fan of the grey one they had, but I like it. It looks like a race car. It's on brand. Yeah, you can see they're not getting forced. Their hands not being forced to change colours too much. So, if that's what Gene wants and that's where their brand is, I reckon it's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think they've come on to a winner this year, and I reckon they're probably one of the few teams that's made the improvement.
Yep.
Red Bull is the next out. Now, Red Bull was a really funny one because there was a lot of criticism to the Red Bull, mainly on their livery launch, because they were claiming it was a 2023 car when clearly they were putting out a 2022 car in 2023 livery, which was exactly pretty much 2022 livery.
Yeah.
But they managed to change a few stickers around and change a few angles of those stickers. Thoughts on this? I mean, lots of the media companies, in terms of the autosports and whatnot, they're all very upset with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Is there an issue? Do you have an issue with them doing this sort of behaviour?
I don't have an issue with it because we've already seen, in terms of what they've actually shown on the launches, I think we've already seen it with Alfa Romeo. What they showed on the launch, as opposed to what rolled out of the garage on filming day, is already different. So and Red Bull did it last year too. They had the launch, and then suddenly we went to filming day and testing, and we had that really aggressive side pod that just turned up out of nowhere.
Yep.
So I'm totally okay with that. I think if you're a team boss and you're running a team, you don't want to launch with your exact package already, do you? You want to have it ready to go. That's why we're getting 3D renders now.
Particularly because they were so early.
Oh, absolutely.
Any issues with them claiming to be a 2023 car when it's in actual fact it wasn't, and clearly wasn't?
Oh, not really. I don't have an issue with it. It's pretty standard when you think about it.
Yep. Do you think that maybe they needed to just say, this is our livery, the car's to come in testing? Do you think that stops the... It just feels a little bit deceptive for me. I mean, I can see where the Autosports of the world and co are coming from.
Yeah.
It just feels a little bit deceptive that you're saying this is a 2023 car when it's actually not. Just say this is our 2023 livery launch. The 2023 car you will see in testing and in round one. Isn't that the most obvious? I mean, because they were 2 weeks out. They were 2 weeks ahead of some teams. And so they want it. Clearly, you want to have you guys working on the car for that 2 weeks. You're not going to stop then. So just come out and be a little bit more honest about it.
I think you'd want that from every team, though.
What's that?
Just for all teams to come out and say livery launch. And most do say it's a livery launch.
See, I don't mind, but we've seen some of the new cars.
See, in some livery launch.
In some guys, we've seen some of the new cars. I mean, it's a good point, though. they're not like Mercedes came out and claimed that this is the car, and Aston Martin came out and claimed this is the car. Well,
very much not.
They're going to be making changes by round one, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And if they're not really doing much development.
No,
so.
and you can see some slight changes on those too. We probably didn't look at the Red Bull enough, and we probably haven't had many shots to look at the Red Bull enough either.
Yep.
Whereas if you look at that comparison to Mercedes, we had a lot of after shots of the Mercedes, so you could scroll through and have a look at the aero upgrades and the tech upgrades, whereas Red Bull's was very much more about livery.
Yeah, but just sell it like that.
Yeah,
like,
and Ford, and the partnership with Ford.
I think it makes plenty of sense. I don't have a problem with them just launching livery.
Yep.
I think that's what it's all about.
Yep.
I think we see the cars... Like, there's no point in... Like, people want to see what's coming up. They want to see if Mercedes have dropped the zero pod, all sorts of things like that. They want to see where that's at. And just don't sell it like it is the 2023. They didn't even change the mirrors, so it was an illegal car anyway.
Could it be that this is actually what we're getting, though? Like, it was so good last year, but maybe there isn't to the naked eye.
Absolutely not.
Any upgrades to this Red Bull?
It wasn't a legal car. It was the actual car they finished the season.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
no, but like
actually...
they've got enlarged mirrors. They didn't do that.
No, well, maybe that's all they're doing. They probably
got to rise the ride height. They didn't do that.
No,
you reckon that
just the general concept of what we see for Red Bull, it could very well be what we saw at the launch is exactly what's going to be rolled out.
You reckon there's 200 engineers at Red Bull from the second half of last season and into this season?
Maybe to the naked eye, the changes aren't what we're going to see. They could very well be under the covers.
They could be.
Could be. They could be. I don't know. They were a mile ahead of the pack and they dominated. So if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Let's focus. Let's focus on the livery.
On the livery. Same as it always is. It looks nice.
It's a good looking.
It's a good looking livery. We can't continue to bash the Red Bull livery anymore.
Well,
or the fact that they don't change it.
I think we've always said that. I mean, they've got their brand. It's worked for them in the past. I mean, what would you change? Probably nothing, I guess.
Nothing.
The only thing I would change is removing the Oracle one and making the Red Bull big like it used to be.
Red Bull on the side.
Yeah, yep. I have it cut out, like enlarged over the side pods.
Yep.
I know Oracle probably tipping in heaps of cash, but yeah, I mean, as we've seen over the years, they change so minutely season to season, and I think when they went, I think it might have been, was it 14 they went to the sixes? That might have been when they went to the darker blue.
Yep.
But before that, it was just a tiny little iteration on the year before.
Yep.
So it's to be expected, really.
I had actually forgotten about that lighter blue. That was a nice looking car too.
It was a little bit lighter, and then they had the
purples.
They had the partnership with Infinity that brought the purple splash on the side, but that was about it.
Yeah, no, I actually quite like that one.
With the blues that they had at the time as well. So.
Yep. I mean, it's a pass because it looks good.
Yeah, it's a pass.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I'd like to see from Red Bull is I'd like to see the camo livery back, because for them, I sort of see that as their livery every year that I used to look forward to. I don't now because I don't do it anymore. Because what you get in race trim is what you get now from Red Bull, and that's across any sort of form of motorsport. But what I really look forward to is the camo livery. So I'd like to see camo livery make a return.
The little specials.
Yep, and we are going to see a new livery for Miami too, a fan livery. So
on the Red Bull.
On the Red Bull. So that'll be something different.
There you go. Williams, moving into Williams, same concept, same sort of general idea.
Yep.
But then there was some differences there. We saw did it go to straight lines or go to curves? I can't really remember now.
The Duracell battery on the AirPod
is wonderful.
The air intake, is good. We saw a hint of that last year too, though.
But not as well done?
Not as prominent and not as well done as this year, which blew my mind as to why people were going nuts over it, because we did see it initially last year.
Felt like we've seen it in the past too.
Yeah, but not in terms where the whole air intake of the AirPod looks like a full AA size battery. So I think it's clever marketing, really good livery, and it works really, really well.
Watsy, thoughts on it?
Yeah, same thing. I love that about the air intake. Shame that Duracell didn't tip in enough cash to put a big Duracell down the side of it as well. They're still a bit lacking in that department.
Do you think they need it? With that on top?
Well, it needs something else. I mean, maybe they could have put some more copper into that design. Like I think they've got on the inside of the brake ducts is copper.
Yep.
Like the
the front wheel arch has it.
Yep.
Yeah, but Yeah, it still says to me that they're struggling. That livery.
So, because of the lack of other sponsors on there,
Yeah.
they've added golf onto the back wing. Nowhere near as much. I mean, the hype was that we're going to get a golf
There was
livery.
huge hype around that, and even golf themselves. And I think we put a social media post up as well the week, just a few hours before, because there was alleged that there was a golf page on the Williams site, which I couldn't find anywhere. I think a lot of fans were crying out for that. But it doesn't mean that later on down the track, I mean, with Williams, I could see them doing what McLaren did at Monaco, and maybe at Silverstone we might have a golf livery just for the one-off race weekend. I think it'd be good.
I'd love to see just Williams racing down the side there.
I actually don't mind it. I think it looks. I really rate how it looks.
Oh, I do too.
I really do too.
I hadn't actually mentioned that, but yeah, I think it's a beautiful looking race car.
I think we will see a little bit of paint come off it though. I mean, as we did last year, we got towards the end of the season, and it was just there was black predominantly in a lot of the large aerospaces. So I would expect to see when it rolls out for testing too, a little bit of a tweak, and maybe some of those dark blue areas will become the matte carbon too.
Yeah, possibly. I feel like maybe some teams are starting with less paint and possibly adding
maybe.
over time.
I guess it just depends on where you are with the weight to begin with too, because they might be underweight.
Well, except for Red Bull, there seems to be mostly blue, so they might be stripping back, but
maybe
they might be super confident where they stand and don't need to reduce that weight.
I reckon there's a lot of black in that Red Bull livery that you can't see because it's so close to the blue.
But that's very similar with the Haas and the Williams underneath as well. Underneath the side pods, you don't know what's under there. So
I mean, you jumping forward to Mercedes, which has gone all black. They're talking like, well, we're going to start here and we're going to see how we go, because their target is to not have any weight issues, and they're going to see how they go, and that may evolve over time. So I wonder whether it's just, we'll see where we're at. By the time we've made all the changes come round one, I wonder whether some teams might go and make some changes, because we have seen liveries change through the season pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next off the bat was the Alfa Romeo, Sauber, Audi. What do we call them?
Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeo for one more season. And we saw the Alfa Romeo stake. Now this was one of my favourites. It was just this classic, good-looking car. I mean, they didn't go fast at times, but that was a good-looking car. More so 2 years ago than last year.
Yes.
I think 2 years ago it was really glossy, and it was a gorgeous-looking machine.
Yep.
This year they've gone to the red and black, and they're my colours. I like red and black. They're the Bombers' colours. It's a nice-looking car still, but I don't know if it's quite as nice as what it was in the past.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on it? They've brought in the big sponsor Stake, which is a betting company.
Yep.
A lifestyle betting company. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, no, I like it as well. Look, I'm a big fan of black, so I'm pretty happy about all these liveries. But I thought it's nice and clean. There's something vintage about the way they've done the black into the red.
Do you think so?
I agree with you. Yeah,
really,
I do. Yeah. Just the half and half combination. Well, like, it's not splashed with aggressive lines or anything. It's subtle and front to tail.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Oh, that really interests me, because that's probably the only part I don't like about it. I quite like the colours. I think they've got the right shades of those colours, but I feel like that half is a little bit. I mean, I know they did it with the white last year.
Yep.
And that's why I think it was the year before, 2021, that was my preference. But I don't know. I just feel like the blacks made that half really quite, I don't know, distinctive. Not sure. But yeah, okay.
Well, it could end up being iconic. But
it could. It could.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I've seen, I picture like a 1950s style.
Yep.
Car that I don't even know if there was anyone that had that kind of thing, but side on it looks. Don't know.
That shade of red is my absolute favourite.
Yeah, it's like candy red,
glorious candy red. Yeah. I think
standing on some toes there, I'd say, with that colour.
A little bit, and one of my concerns for this season is the instant recognition of which car's which in amongst traffic.
I think it's predominantly black over the red, but you're right, like Jay says, the way that it's split in half, I think it will be very easy to differentiate between that and the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Especially from the top as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mm.
Yep. So improvement on last year, what's he?
Yes.
Tristan?
Massive improvement.
I'll give it improvement on last year, but I won't give it improvement on previous years. Just having a look, yeah. It's very much a swap for black for white, and then not too much else has changed there. Next team that came out, we had the AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, previously a bit of a favourite of ours.
Yes.
Those nice lines, of nice contrasting colours. I'm a big fan of the AlphaTauri in the past. Tristan?
I don't know how I feel about it now with the addition of Orlan and the red.
It's a bit too much red.
It's not too much red. It's just not right. I don't know. We're so used to the AlphaTauri being that real dark navy blue and white, and that livery itself has become a little bit more iconic over the years. But then the addition of the red, it doesn't work. I just don't think it works well with this blue. Because the red's really, really bright. The red halo as well doesn't quite work. I don't know. For me, it's a no. The more I look at it, the more I dislike it. And even when it first came out, I sort of thought, I'm not quite sure.
Watsy, thoughts?
I like it. I like the red. I like the inclusion of it. I know it's AlphaTauri, not Toro Rosso anymore, but it harks back to the Toro Rosso cars with the blue.
Yep.
And the including the red, like having the bull actual, like, I suppose like the cartoon version of the bull on the side of him. I really like that, and it's just having the red brings those feelings back for me. So
yeah, right. Yeah, I
like it. Really like it.
Yeah, I'm with Tristan. It's not quite doing it for me. Last year's, it's one of the cars that's really taken a step back.
Yeah.
Last year's, loved it. The years leading up to that, loved it.
They were too plain.
I think it's I think it's the halo. It's the addition of the Orlan on the halo and the red halo. So the red and the navy, it's just not right.
And the wing.
Yeah.
I don't mind the wing, but I think it is the halo for me that is spoiling it. I'm just looking no. Because it's one of the first things you see. I don't mind what I see on the wheel covers. I don't mind just the thin strip on the aero across the front wheels. But I really feel like it is the halo that is ruining it.
What's he?
So I'm going to say this now, because I most likely probably won't be on the podcast when you come around on that. Once you see it on track, you'll change your tune.
It might be different on track, but right
true.
Now, it's just not working.
In saying that, I reckon the AlphaTauri of past on track wasn't as nice as the AlphaTauri stopped sitting in the pits in a photograph. In the pits, I just remember walking past it and just going, oh, I mean, last year, all the cars were spectacular.
Yeah.
They were, and it was to do with the shape and everything, but to see it on track, it was just, I'm with you. It was a little bit less, oh, that's cool, that's really nice. In photos, I don't think it looks really good. But yeah, you could be right. You could be right. I'm not sure that the red makes it any better on track, but maybe it makes it stand out a bit more. But yeah, for me, it's a step back. It's not ugly by any stretch, but it's a step back. It's not quite where I wanted it to be. McLaren was the next one, and McLaren finished the season very, very similar to how McLaren have started the season in terms of liveries.
Yep.
And haven't they progressed over the years? I mean, what they finished the season with last year, there was more black than what they started it with, but it's a funny one. I just can't work out how I feel about this McLaren, because it's a cool looking car. Do I think it could look better? Yep. But there's parts of it that I really love. And I think it's mainly from the photography at this stage, and I want to see it on track, but I love that blue coming through the back of it.
Yes, don't mind that.
But I can't tell if that's the photography being done or... Yeah, so I'm really torn on the McLaren. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it looks it looks cool, it looks good, but have they done enough from last year? Is it going to stay that way? I'm just 50-50. I don't know. I want to see it on track.
Yeah, yep. I think that's probably where I'm at. I mean, I remember last year thinking it looked really good. I thought it really popped, but it's a long way from what it was last year. There's a lot more black in there, and I just worry whether like the black's too big and bulky. Maybe it needed to be a little bit thinner lines of black. Break it up absolutely with the black, but I think maybe, I don't know. I think the black works really well with the Alpine, which we haven't talked about yet. But yeah, I'm not so sure. Tristan, what are your thoughts?
I really like it. It's just probably a bit of sponsor overload for me, if anything. I think that's the one thing that's sort of letting it down.
Which is a good thing for McLaren, because
It's
that was a problem for McLaren
yes,
the opposite
absolutely.
way.
No one
in the
wanted to
past.
come near it, but I like it. It's orange. I like the blues. It's different.
You like
I like all of it. Yep.
I quite like the chrome logo at the top.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that either. I think it's subtle without. They haven't stripped the orange right back, which is nice. Oh, the papaya. Sorry, I should be saying what it is. I think it all works really, really well.
I'd like to see more of the blue glow through it.
Sort of similar to the IndyCar.
Don't know what that looks like.
I'll show you right now, because that's the thing. That's the thing that lets me down with this one, is if you look at the two IndyCar runners from McLaren and how they look, as opposed to what the F1 car looks like, you sort of think, that's a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Really?
Yep, I'm going to see my point, because they look phenomenal.
There you go. Look them up.
And that's a lot of... I'll show you while we're rolling through.
Sorry, I just want to add, I've found a couple of extra images.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it.
What's changed?
No, I've just seen an actual video from McLaren.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Then the photos we were just looking at.
Yep.
I like the big black, Rog.
You do,
When you said that, I'm like, I got to check this, because I couldn't really see it from what I was looking at. So.
Yep.
Yep. No, it's good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's just. Yep. That's what I was looking for. Maybe that's gone too much blue. Show what's down the screen there. Not great for podcasting. This.
Yeah, Paul.
But.
Oh, yuck.
No, that looks terrific.
The blue on that, as well as the one I've just seen, is still quite golfy.
It is, isn't it? I think it's probably where you're looking at too.
You know, it's a bit more highlighted. You know, I could add a little bit more black to that one, and I'd be happy. For those people playing along at home, obviously not while you're driving, Google the McLaren IndyCar. Is that 2023?
Yeah, that's 2023 McLaren IndyCar.
Yeah, and I'd probably actually opt for a little bit more black on that one. But no, I'm liking a bit more of that blue. Not too much more on the Formula 1 car, but a bit more would be nice. Aston Martin is next up. Aston Martin, no changes. Was there changes?
No, not really. No,
No.
it's more predominantly aero changes for them. I think a little bit more black down the side pod too. So as it sort of runs across, you got the green paint on the actual outside of the side pod, but right across the top, which I know when we were in Australia, that's where your cooling vents were.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, in some of the filming day shots, they're sealed.
Yep.
But I expect to see that'll be where they pop in at the top, and they'll be black.
We did see that those cooling vents can be sealed and unsealed quite easily.
Yep. So I think there's a little bit more to come there.
Yep. If it looks that good, you don't make too many changes, do you?
No, not at all. I would love to see it the fluoro green. I really, really would. If I could make one change to one team, it would be to get that to have a little bit more fluoro green on it.
Oh, yeah. So thicken up the lines of fluoro
absolutely.
green and maybe a couple more.
Yeah, or even do what Alfa Romeo have done. Imagine like a dark green into a fluorescent green at the back.
I'm not coming to that one, because that is a gorgeous looking machine. But
it is beautiful.
But I would take a little bit more of the green.
Yep.
Yeah, I would. But yeah, it is lovely. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, sorry, I like it. I really do. So I was just thinking, as you just were saying about a bit more green. How would you feel about like an inverted livery with the Aston green, I suppose, being that fluoro green?
Yep. And then the fluoro strip being the dark. I think that would look
like the old. What was it? what was the Days of Thunder car?
Yeah, the old NASCAR.
Hello Yellow?
Yep.
That, I reckon that'd be pretty sick.
I think that'll look great. I think great. But it is beautiful, and it's a fantastic spec of green, too.
Yeah, they've done well.
Well, they've honed it in because there were changes made
Early
last year.
Days. Didn't look good enough on screen for
it wasn't what they were happy
I would
with.
expect to see Aston become a little bit like Red Bull, and that this is what we see now. Just a slight change here or there, maybe a sponsor tweak here or there. They could do what Mercedes did when they were winning titles, and the actual sort of Petronas green that was down the side of the car, they were adding them as per they won the titles. But I could see them.
They've got a lot of sponsors, though.
Yeah, they do. They're the same. It's probably a little bit of sponsor overload again for me. But it looks fantastic, and I could dare say that that's what we just will become accustomed to now with Aston.
Yeah.
Very little changes throughout
with
the years.
With the way the side pods are now,
Yep.
there are separate elements to the rear of the car. So
Yeah.
you can have a sponsor on those elements, whereas when they are more sleek and more in one, in the past, you could only really get a good size sponsor on the side.
Which, I mean, we had those regulation changes, didn't we, a couple of years ago, which was to encourage more sponsors into the sport and on the cars, so...
True.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Ferrari. How does Ferrari make a red car look a bit nicer than what they had in the past? What have they done? What sort of magic have they used
Putting a little black patch
to somehow
on the
make
side
that
pod.
car look so much nicer? What have they done?
I've thought about this because I've been in agreement with you too.
I've got a theory on
Yes,
it.
I've got
Go on, you
Alright,
go.
So my theory is that it's actually not the livery that has improved the car. It's the actual aero package and the aero philosophy that's been put on that has made this car look better.
Maybe.
That's my take on it.
Maybe because they didn't have those big swimming pools down the side. They're
we're-
still there. They're just not as prominent.
Yeah, we're super critical of Red Bull of doing nothing, but at the same time, Ferrari is red every single year, and every year we go, oh my god, that's fantastic.
No, I
Ferrari
don't know.
also do
Yeah.
minimal, probably less than what Red Bull do.
I don't think we sing their praises.
I think a lot of fans do.
Yeah,
I think a
okay.
lot of fans do.
This
So-
is the first year I remember looking at a Ferrari going, oh, that is like that's improved. That's lovely.
So I thought last year's Ferrari was probably one of the, if not the best looking Formula One car ever.
Wasn't it the wrong red last
Ever
year?
made.
Or was that the year
Apparently.
before?
I think that was the year before. We went to that really dark. We had the more darker red for the 1000 Grand Prix
Yep.
livery, which
Yep.
I was not a fan of. But it was a couple of years before that, you're right. It went to
Yep.
a really darker one. It wasn't the real bright Ferrari red. So for me, that's why. I think it's not the actual livery that's improved. I think it's the actual car itself.
My theory is
Which
it's
is making it
because
look
they've put Ferrari in that beautiful font on the back wing.
I like that, which is
It
what they did for the
looks
75th anniversary.
Unreal.
Yep.
Just having Ferrari on that back wing looks sensational, I reckon. Because it was just plain black, I think, last year, wasn't it?
It was actually, especially, seasons open. It was
Yep.
just, most
Yep.
of the season, actually. Yep, just pure
So-
black.
What's he?
Yeah, very interesting the rear wing, the Ferrari. I really like that as well. But they've moved Marlboro, or the lack of Marlboro, or Philip Morris, to the top of the airbox.
Yeah,
and
I have too.
you've got the black background for CEVA, and then the black bits and pieces. I really like it, and then it reminds me of that iconic, I think it was the Senna one. I
Yeah.
can't remember. Like it was when they were super tiny and short.
Yep.
It reminds me of that.
Yep. It is.
I really like it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it looks great.
But it's it's the addition of the black with where their sponsors are that has improved it.
I think even the shark fin,
it could be.
the carbon shark fin,
Yeah.
or the mini sort of shark fin now,
Yeah.
not as prominent as what they used to be.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It could be right, what's he? Yeah. Don't know.
No, I probably am.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's... I can't get my eyes off that back wing and that shark fin. The shark fin looks really good.
Yeah.
It does. I'm really quite pleased with it. But yeah, so I was shocked that I'd feel this way. I was shocked in a couple of ways this year, but I was shocked that I'd feel this way about a Ferrari looking so much better with minimal change. Moving through to Mercedes, we touched on it slightly earlier. They've gone all black, and one of the things I liked about it is they weren't going along the lines of Black Lives Matters or anything like that. Not that that's not important, because it would have looked really cheap if they tried to sell that as a reason why they went black.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like Black Lives Matters as long as it means we can save weight.
Yes. Yep.
And so they didn't even try to go down that line. I was like, oh, I hope they don't try and sell this. But it was no. They said, look, we've decided that this is a change we're going to take, and this is. He was talking like it was almost a penalty they were going to take in order to keep the weight down and allow them to do some things. And rumours around the place is that they're probably getting closer to being at minimum weight. I think Alpine are claiming that they're at minimum weight, and so they don't have to do too much. So I think they're sort of, it's one of the sacrifices they're going to make to allow them to do some things that they want to be able to achieve. Thoughts on how it looks? I'm not a big fan. Watsy, I think you'd be a big fan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I was, but it's not going to look great out on track. I'm very curious, as we were talking in our chat about the satin finish of that.
Yep.
Whether it's been, it's like I think you mentioned that they said they can do satin carbon fibre now. Is that right?
They were calling it matte carbon fibre.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Matte carbon.
So whether because I don't know how it all works. I don't know if the resin that they build the carbon fibre with naturally comes out gloss or satin or matte, whatever, and then they normally paint it. But I'm curious as to when we can get coloured carbon fibre as well.
It's something that crossed my mind. I was like, could there be a dye placed in the carbon fibre when they're making it?
Yeah. On top of that, if carbon fibre is naturally black, as we know. If they're only putting a clear coat, if it's raw, it would be. I think it would be matte. But if they're putting a clear coat and no additional paint over it, then they can be doing a gloss or matte satin, whatever, of that clear. So they're only putting that one bit of paint. Normally they're painting a base colour, and then they're putting a clear coat over top of that.
Yep.
So that's halving the paint weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have got some connections in carbon world over in the UK.
Yeah.
We might have to reach out and ask a couple of those questions because it's sparked my interest. It really has to what is the process there, and I'd love to know. Like, no one's given exact numbers, but they're talking hundreds of grams. I don't think anyone's
2 kilograms. I think is what Mercedes are claiming that they have saved.
Yeah, and so I'd like to know what the rest of the teams think that they're saving, because I mean 2 kilograms is massive amounts. It is massive amounts. So it's it'll be interesting. It'll be really really interesting.
So if you think about you're holding a spray can, right?
Yep.
Like a pressure pack.
Yep.
They range between say 400 grams and maybe 600-700 grams for some really big ones.
Yep.
When you've got an actual spray gun, you've got the pot, a gravity fed pot that's between 500 mils, so 500 grams, but paint's probably heavier than that.
Yep.
Up to a litre or over a kilo of paint.
Yep.
So, and to paint, that silver thing, I don't know, it might be 2 litres of paint. So, of what's, I don't know, the ratios of what comes out in the air and what gets blown away.
Yep.
But yeah, it's considerable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with our HPV trikes that we race at school, we try not to continually paint them on straight over the top of paint. We try and sand them back to get rid of some of that weight, because every time, what we always go with, every time you're adding a kilo of weight to the trike. Now, it's never come out at the kilo extra because I weigh them. And I also wonder how much, like, once it dries, how much lighter does it get with the drying process, or does it get any lighter at all? Is the next part. I mean, as the moisture evaporates, surely some of the weight disappears into that. But obviously, there's parts that make up the paint. So yeah, it's interesting. It's some questions. It's some questions I've had for a little while, and paint over stickers and all sorts of things like that. So it's something that we probably need to look into a little bit further, because we do have a few connections. I mean, with Watsy, he can obviously tell us about the stickering, but yeah. And then what paints they're using. Is there certain paints, like the Formula 1 teams actually use a special paint? So yeah, Is there certain colours they stay away from? They used to hear that green was a heavy paint. I don't know whether that's still a thing or not.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of the background stuff. They mask them and spray them. Say like the Red Bull yellows and the bull on the side.
Yep.
That'll be masked up and sprayed. And say like the old teal green of the Mercedes. It's not a sticker. So generally, from what I've seen, as close as I've been able to get, some of the smaller sponsor ones are stickers.
Yep.
And they also use like a clear sticker to cover up their seams of the joins as well.
So that clear sticker though, that must then have like a lip on it, because that was something else I've been reading. Is they try and avoid places where they put stickers for the aero. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's, it's microns. It doesn't sound like much, but you can see. So, like with a lot of other vinyls we use, and especially the automotive ones, and the laminates that go on them, it's fine. But if you put a piece of that down across, and run your hand across it, you know where it stops and starts.
Yep.
You can see it and you can feel it. So, if you can feel it, it's going to have some sort of effect. And
they're working so hard on those slippery edges and those slippery surfaces. So yeah, absolutely, it's going to. And if you're putting like some of the more sponsored up cars, you are going to see the results of that on those cars there, aren't you?
Actually, sorry, the nose of the Alfa Romeo has a lot of white sponsors up there, and that'd take it's obviously got time and expertise to do it, but because you're running up the nose like that, that'd be a huge amount of drag, and it's like rubbing your hand across scales or something like that.
I wonder if anyone's ever used stickers to their advantage to add some drag to places that they want to, when they want to be slowing down some air.
That's a good question.
Anyway, I should be working for a Formula One team. Last one, Alpine. I wasn't expecting to like it, but I like it a lot.
Which one?
So we're getting the pink one.
Yep.
For 4 races.
The opening 3.
So
Bahrain, Saudi, and Australia.
Right.
And we'll have the BWT pink.
Maybe I'm changing.
Okay.
But I like the pink one as well.
Oh, good.
And I don't know why. I don't know whether they've changed the tone of pink. I don't know, because it's sort of a bit more of a hot pink in the past, I feel, but it could just be the photos, I'm not sure. There's a nice pattern on the shark wing through the pink at the back.
Yep.
There's a bit of black that breaks it up. I don't know, but it looks all right. And it surprises me because I'm not usually a big fan of the pink car, am I?
So the triangles on the back that you're referring to are part of the Alpine road car pattern, and it's featured on the A110R in last season's car. So that's what it is.
Which is similar to how Mercedes were running their pattern
kind of
across
like
the back
the
of
stars
that.
across there.
I actually think the Mercedes is missing that. Maybe that's something they can add.
that's on there. It's across the top, very, very few large ones. So that's what that triangular pattern is. It's a bit of a link between the road car to the F1 car. I love it. I think it looks fantastic. I probably am not as big a fan of the pink because I just prefer the blue a lot more than what I do the all pink. And I think the enormous channels down the side pod also allow it to have more black, which in this case I think it works really, 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 really well. So I like it. I almost go
the pink.
I like the blue more than I like the pink. But the pink
blue and pink.
There's nothing wrong with the pink, but my preference is the traditional blue Alpine livery.
Yep. What's he?
Just having a real close look at it now. I reckon they might have answered your question, Roger, about whether the decals have any effect and if they want to use it for drag. So, like where you see the black in the back of that design, underneath that is the carbon fibre.
Yep.
And decals on top of that, and it's looking very strategically placed. I know it's towards the rear of the car, but it's also glossy where the number is as well. So, it could be some. I don't know.
It'd be a great way to.
I like it.
give distorted air coming off the back of the car too.
Yeah.
If those sort of
Yes.
geometrical patterns, as the air's washing across the front and the side pods and over the wheels, it's hitting
low pressure
those.
zones.
Yeah, and then it's creating the distorted air off the back of the car. Perhaps it would be a really clever way of doing that.
It's cool. Very cool.
It's by no means my favourite, but I think it looks good, and I think maybe what I was craving for was that difference. Something that looked a bit different compared to everything else, which I've always been a big advocate for, is having different looking cars, and I think we've got that. I think that's it's come up well. I'm a bit worried that the Alpha Tauri, actually, looking at them, I mean, it's lacking a bit of yellow, but it's looking very similar to a Red Bull. I think maybe there needs to be a little bit more difference there. Something else I really loved about the liveries guys, they finally decided to start colouring their wheel covers.
Yes, I saw.
Because, I mean, one thing, we saw very plain wheel covers last year, and we understand that they were certainly trying to save weight, but the wheel covers didn't need to be crazy. They didn't need to be full colour. They just need to have a pattern on them to look really good while they're going around in circles. Or look really good while they're sitting still, probably more importantly. But, I'm really pleased that we're seeing wheel covers. Someone's gone and got a little bit creative with them, because they were so plain last year, and when I was picking up that wheel in the paddock last year, it just was so basic. It was simply a plastic cover over the top of the wheel. The spokes were still in there, and all sorts of things like that. It just cried out for some pattern on there when the cars are standing still. No, it does nothing for the car while it's moving, obviously. But so that's a plus I'll give them. Anything else, boys, that sort of drew your attention through livery time?
I think it's probably just, the tech upgrades were a huge thing that I noticed just across all the cars.
Yep.
We all seem to be going the Red Bull way, with the exception of, Mercedes and Ferrari?
Yep.
Maybe Haas. Most cars are going in the Red Bull direction now.
I reckon there was another one that looked a little bit more like the Ferrari.
Yeah, the Haas probably looks a little bit more like the Ferrari.
No, it was one of the later ones that come out.
So that sort of drew my attention. The Mercedes is the one thing that really caught my attention, with the no pods.
Still there.
Slowly, yeah, but
still there.
A little bit of a side pod, a little bit higher,
it's like
a little bit wider, a little bit more rectangular. Yeah, a mid pod would be a great way to describe it. And then the huge aero channels across the back. You've watched the onboard with George Russell. Right across the back, really predominant. There are two enormous channels with air outlets that are coming very, very close to the rear wing. So there's lots and lots of attention on that too. So I thought, that's the one thing that really, really drew my attention. And the Alpines, the channels in the Alpine, they drew my attention, because I've not seen anything like that before from the top-down renders. So, yeah.
Watsy, anything else that drew your attention or surprised you, or that you've noticed?
Nothing that we haven't really covered already. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action.
Yep.
And go on track. That'll give us a little bit more perspective. And then, not that we'll really see it in testing, but we'll see it in the first racing. But side by side with all the black.
Yep.
The Mercedes is going to be lost for sure. I wouldn't like to be a sponsor of Mercedes this year, but
the one
it's only Petronas anyway. So
the only other thing that I noticed with the Mercedes is that they go on different coloured fluoro numbers, which I love.
And it's funny you say that. I love the driver helmets too.
Yep.
Seen some of the helmets that have come out.
Yep.
There are some really, really good looking helmets. George Russell's helmet, the ice blue, is even better than second half of last year. Ocon's helmet is fantastic with the black and then the really fluorescent red sort of accents that go through it. I love Alex Albon's. I think that looks awesome. Fernando's looks amazing as well. I'll tell you the one, Yuki Tsunoda's, which is just autumn leaves across the top of it. I think that's really different. I'll tell you the one I don't like, though, is Pierre Gasly's.
I didn't mind it.
It would have to be one of the ugliest looking helmets I have ever seen.
I didn't mind it.
Ever, hands down. It's metallic gold and an orange and a red, and it's just no.
Does our man Dan bring out a helmet for this year?
That's a great question.
I think I've seen something in the works.
Because I'd love to.
From
Yeah.
Right, what are they called, Tristan?
Yeah, race service and ornamental.
Yeah, race. I
photographer.
think I've seen
Who's
something in the works.
Right,
artist
okay.
that does his work. I will go back and have a look because I've been watching really closely too, Jay. Because I wondered that because it will have to have Red Bull sponsor on it naturally, but then how will he work that into his sort of artwork designed helmets? But yes.
Yeah. I'd love to see him like play on like a water boy sort of setup or just the reserve driver setup. I'd like to see him play on that. Because I'm not sure you can run the same helmet as what you had in Anger last year.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
But it's for me through the liveries. It was the different types of languages teams were coming out with. So there was a lot of we're flying. We're really happy with where we're at. Quietly confident. But then talking in confident language, and then there was a lot of, we've got work to do, we're not really happy with where we're at, there's upgrades to come which hopefully will fix things. And McLaren's dangerously sat inside of that language, which concerns me a little bit. It concerns me a little bit about McLaren. They sound, the language was very, we've still got work to do, but we'll wait and see. So I'll be interested to follow that. Mercedes was a little bit the same. They're talking big upgrades early in the season to where they want to get the car to be. Whereas on the contrast, I think Ferrari were particularly happy. They were confident enough to run a shakedown test in front of media.
I love that. What did you think of their
Unbelievable.
launch? Because in terms of launches,
Unbelievably good.
it was.
Fans.
Yeah, it was exactly
Passion.
what people wanted to see. You wanted
Yep.
to chat to the drivers really, really quickly.
Yep.
We had
Saw
a
the
livery car launch,
Yep.
and then it got out on track, and it bashed around with a few
Absolutely
really quick,
nailed it.
Loud laps, and that's it, and they went in.
Yep.
And compared to that, to what we saw with Red Bull,
Yep.
which was hideous, probably one of the worst launches I've ever seen in my life,
Yep.
Ferrari absolutely nailed it in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Apparently, our Alpines was quite good. They had a real party. It was in a old paint shop in East London. They had a real
Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah, Zinedine Zidane turned up. There was a real party around it.
Yep.
It went quite late. There was
Yep.
DJs. They invited lots of media in for it. It sounded like they sort of did a good job of that as well, launching that. The other thing I loved about Alpine is they launched and gave good time to the launch of their female driver setup.
Yes, absolutely. I like
and
that too. I thought that was really good.
I think that's fantastic, and it's really visionary.
Yep.
When I say it's really visionary, it's also about 20 years behind the times. Like I still can't see. We were calling for it at the start of this podcast when we began for. I think this is the 7th year. How is it that teams have only just picked up on that this is something we should be promoting? Not only should we be doing because it's the right thing to be doing, and why are we cutting out 50% of people that could be driving our cars and driving them well?
Yeah.
But it's also a great marketing tool. Like,
Absolutely.
Go and market it.
It adds value.
Yeah, that's right. It adds all sorts of value to your company. So, yeah, but good on them for finally getting on board, and they got a good range of drivers in there too, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, the language. I mean, Aston Martin for me, they are very, very confident as to where they're going.
It's a 90% new car, they're saying, for Aston.
Yeah, which surprises me.
90% new.
That really, really surprised. I mean, they weren't happy with last year's car, and they started developing really early on in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting one for them to say that. I wonder whether it's 90% certain areas. But anyway,
Maybe.
yeah, it will.
Yeah, that's interesting because that sort of raises red flags to me.
Yeah, well, they got work to do.
Looking it up that much.
Could be in your drivers, couldn't it? 90% of your drivers in you. Oh, 50% of your drivers in you.
Yeah.
Like, it's 50% is
Yeah.
just in your new drivers straight
Yeah.
away, isn't it? So it's probably only 40.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting to see the language that they come out with, and are they pumping themselves up early? Ferrari saying, like we said, Ferrari seems fairly confident, particularly saying they think they can unleash that new performance in that car. Before we finish, we're gonna finish off with our 3, 2, and 1 like we traditionally do, but we've now got All Signs on board for the 3, 2, and 1. So we've got All Signs, awesigns.com, on board to sponsor the 3, 2, and 1 this year. That's awesome for all your signage needs. Tristan, hit me up with your 3, 2, and 1.
My 3 is going to be the Alfa Romeo.
3 points being the most.
3 points.
Yep.
Yes, correct.
Yep. Alfa Romeo. Yeah, no, I'm rusty. I couldn't find a call
It's our
just to
first
put
3,
people
2, 1 of the year.
to put people into the the scene here earlier, I was frantically looking for a cord because I couldn't remember how to plug Watsy into the episode. And as soon as I hit play, things calmed down a bit, didn't it? So, yep. But 3 points to their...
Which is the most points. 2, which
thank you.
is less points than the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking, for some reason I'm thinking, do we do third, second, first? That's not how it runs.
So 3 for the Alfa Romeo. I'm going to give 2 to the Alpine. And I'm going to give Ferrari the 1 point.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Cool.
I like it. Watsy, 3, 2, and 1?
3, 2, and 1. Let me just reiterate that it's allsigns.com.au. Thanks, Rog.
Sorry, yes, AU, yep, got to nail that.
That's all right. So my 3, 2, 1, that's awesome livery, is 3 to Ferrari.
Yep.
2 Aston Martin.
Yep.
And 1 for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's really tough, actually.
It is, isn't it? It is. I mean, do we have an ugly car on the grid?
Do we have an ugly one?
No.
I don't think we have an ugly one. No, yes we do. I think the AlphaTauri.
We used to.
No.
We used to.
I wouldn't say it's ugly, but it's my least favorite.
I would have always given it to Haas, but I'm not going to give it to Haas anymore. I don't,
Yep.
Yeah. My 3, 2, and
Give it
1,
1 point.
that's awesome, is I'm going with Ferrari for 3 points as well.
Yep.
Aston Martin for 2 points.
Nice.
And 1 point, I'm going to with the Williams.
Okay.
I really do like that Williams.
mind
I think
that
it's
too.
nice. We're not going to give a dud because we're not going to start with negativity.
No. You've got an honourable mention that didn't quite make the points, but you could happily put in there.
I want to see it on track,
Yep.
and that's the Sauber,
Okay.
the Alfa Romeo.
All right, I'm going to give mine to Mercedes, actually.
Ugh, jeepers. I don't think I mentioned. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't think I mentioned that. We've got stuck in other things. Watsy, who's your honourable mention?
Haas.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. I think they've. Oh God, I
Yep.
do think they've improved it. I'm excited to see 2 more cars on the grid and what they could bring.
Yes, me too.
What could the different colours be?
Gunther Steiner's not, but most
No.
people are.
Yeah, well, depends who you are. Most fans are.
I'll just,
Yep.
Yeah, and also seeing the Red Bull go to the Ford might bring some lighter blues back into the mix.
It may
too.
do, actually.
Yep, possibly,
It may do. If you're adding an extra car on the grid,
Yep.
what's the opening? You don't want it to look like something else. You want it to look like yours. What's the opening? Is it purple? Is it yellow?
Yeah, it's probably yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed the yellows of the
Jordans.
of the Renaults.
Renaults, yeah,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff.
The Ferrari, was it the Mugello 50th anniversary Ferrari?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's some openings there.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for
What's
yellow.
Andretti, Tristan? You know?
Andretti
Andretti's
is blue, red, and white, so just American flag colours.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah, depending if you do that right and you get the right shade of blue, then yeah, that could work. But
Yep.
yeah, that's Andretti United. Although some of the United Autosport cars as well that work with Andretti, they just run their liveries based on their primary sponsor as well. So just depending on who your sponsor is too.
Yep. Testing comes on Thursday. Thursday night for us. 6 p.m. start for us.
I'm going to have to get an F1 TV pass now.
For everyone else, it comes around about, I think it's, well, for the European listeners, it comes around about decent times. 10 o'clock start or 9 o'clock start or something like that. Don't know where it is in America. I mean, America's a big continent, so from one side or the other, but trying to...
Be Friday, wouldn't it?
It would be Friday, yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's an exciting time of year. We get that in, and then, 24th of March?
24th of March is
Drive
Drive
to
to Survive, and then we are on track, ready to go in Bahrain.
How can they squeeze Drive to Survive in between the most exciting time of Formula One?
Because if you're like me, and maybe many other fans, you can just binge
No
it
one
all
is
in
like you.
almost a day and a half and get through all 10. Is it 10 episodes? Is it 10 episodes? They released the names of the episodes just the other day too. I'm pretty sure it's 10 episodes.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping it's not going to be a similar situation where I'm scarred by the Dan situation and I don't want to see it, and so I'll delay watching it until the end of the season.
It's 10 episodes. These are the episodes' names. The New Dawn, Bounce Back, Like Father, Like Son, Matter of Principle, Hot Seat, Pardon My French, Nice Guys, Finish Last, alpha male over the limit and end of the road. No guesses for what episode 7 is going to be all about.
No.
What is it? Last Dance and End of the Road?
Nice
that'd be
Guys
both
Finish
Dan
Last is
episodes,
episode 7.
nice. Yeah,
so
that'd
that's
be Dan.
definitely going to be Dan. End of the Road is probably going to be Seb's episode,
Yep.
to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I reckon
Yep.
Matter of Principle is going to be Bonotto's episode. Maybe.
No, Bonotto happened after the season.
Yeah, but I reckon that... No, that's only episode 4, so it doesn't really mean round 4. But I reckon they might put it in there. New Dawn would be all about Ferrari, wouldn't it? Bounce Back. What would Bounce Back be about?
I think Matter of Principle might be the...
Bounce Back might be Mercedes episode, possibly. Like Father Like Son would probably be Max's. No, Magnuson's.
Science.
That'd be Magnuson's, I reckon. And
Yeah.
maybe an episode on Magnuson's pole, perhaps.
Anyway, it'll be something. Lots of great things coming for Beyond the Racing Line this year. We've got lots of great things in the pipelines, including more people and more often, hopefully, and lots more interaction. I think that's probably the key. Looking for lots of interaction and even possibly some events that we might be able to make happen. But yeah, plenty to look forward to. Thanks very much for joining us, Watsy. He's got something else to say.
Before we head off, a couple other things. Before you get off the podcast, or as you do, go over to where you get your podcast and give us a review, 5 stars.
This is
also,
good.
go over to YouTube. Subscribe Beyond the Racing Line, and be sure to watch some of the content on there because it's a little bit easier to monetize than it is a podcast, and we don't have to rely on All Signs paying the bills. And yeah, we'll have some more content coming out on YouTube, hopefully. And while you're there at YouTube, go to 5 Acre Farm.
Absolutely. He's
it.
coming good, hasn't he?
Seamless.
He's coming strong.
Seamless.
Yeah. So if you're missing me on the podcast, you
It's
might
almost
see a
like-
bit more of me, my partner Kat, on 5 Acre Farm.
It's like a bit of Dan having the year off and then back, and then same for Jay. Just
Sabbatical, you
seamless.
reckon?
Oh, we reckon we might see Dan back stronger.
Maybe that's what we need, eh?
There you go. I like it. Well done, Watsy. Very good. You've been
Thanks for having me back,
been
boys. I
excellent.
really appreciate
Lovely
it.
to have you back, mate.
Absolutely fantastic. And we'll talk to everybody again soon. Goodbye now.